There's no hiding from your grace. I can't deny your heart for mine, and it's unrelenting. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation, until your love took over me. Whoa. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, here awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. Oh la la, oh la la, I let go and I find life. Oh la la, oh la la, I let go and I find life. All right, good morning, Charlotte. Let's go for it. You guys ready to be with Jesus today? The highway is calling me to a life unlike before. I found this heart that's beckoning, and I can't resist no more. Lead me in your ways of devotion. Don't wanna get caught in emotions. My heart is only for you, Lord. Whoa. So I let go and I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, here awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. Oh la la, oh la la, I let go and I find life. Oh la la, oh la la, I let go and I find life. La 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 la, and I let go. Come on. I don't know how you feel walking in here, but we're gonna get up on our feet. And I let love show me life like it's supposed to be. An oasis, here awaits us, all the freedom I'll ever need. Now I'm alive. All right, here we go. Get ready. La 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 la. No feet on the ground. And I let go. Then I find, hey! La 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 la. And I let go. Oh la la, oh la la. And I let go, then I find life. Oh la la, oh la la. And I let go, then I find life. If you believe it, lift up the shout.
We're glad you guys are here to worship with us this morning. Would you guys just really lean into this song and what it means? Because there's truly no other name like Jesus.
There's a space in every beating heart. There's a longing that reaches past the stars. There's an answer to every question mark. There's a name. There's a hope flowing through these veins. There's a voice echoes through the. There's an ember ready for the flame. there's a name. We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame.
We fix our eyes on you, Jesus.
We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains. Love has a name, Jesus.
Sing that out with us.
Love has a name, love has a name, Jesus. There's a joy that triumphs over fear. There's a laughter that wipes away all tears. There's a presence that changes atmospheres. And there's a name.
Let's fix our eyes on him.
We will fix our eyes on the one who overcame. We will stand in awe of the one who breaks the chains.
Sing it out.
Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. Love a name. Victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Joy has a name. Joy has a name. Jesus. The name that's lifted up forever. The name that shakes the earth and shakes the heaven. The hope of every heart, the Savior of the world, Jesus. Love has a name. Love has a name. Jesus. My victory has a name. Victory has a name. Jesus. You're my joy. Joy has a name. Joy has a name. Jesus. My hope has a name. Hope has a name. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. You're my hope. You're our joy and our victory, God. Oh, Jesus. Name above every name. Jesus.
Can you guys just give him a shout?
I've been lost and found, been close and far away, but my confidence is this: your love won't stop its chase. All my life I will lift up your praises to the end of the ages. I will sing of your love won't stop. Oh, it runs like a river, you have so freely given every piece of your heart.
Jesus. God, and you are all that we want this morning. You're all that we need. And God, I just thank you that you are so here. God, that I pray that you would have your way this morning and do what only you can do, God. In Jesus' name, amen. Woo. We're just so glad that you guys are here this morning. If you would just take a minute and say good morning to someone around you and give them a fist bump or a high five, and then you can have a seat.
My goodness, what a beautiful song. I think that's the first time we've ever sang that song here. It's the second time we've sang that at Shoreline. What a beautiful song about who Jesus is, what a great friend he is. My name is Darlene, and I am one of the co-founding pastors here at Shoreline Church, and I just want to welcome you. Whether it's your very first time or you haven't been here in a while or you're here all the time, we just want to welcome you back. We hope that today ends up being just part of the best day of the week. And today's going to be a fantastic day. So yeah, you can clap. It's exciting. It's good news. Good for you. It's actually really great to be here with you guys. Last Sunday, Pastor Caroline, who's our youth pastor, was with me down in Central Florida at the church that sent us back home here where we grew up to plant the church. And we had such a great time. It was such a great time of just watching young people who have taken over that church and are reaching their community in such a great way. I think it was fantastic for Pastor Caroline. And you know what? Give Pastor Caroline a high five when you see her today, because she spent time with our teens and preteens Friday night, all night long. Friday night. Like, they came in at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. 62 of them. 62 of them. I asked her today, I said, how you doing? Have you recovered yet? And she's like, I need one more day. I need one more day. So anyway, just give her a high five, some encouragement. Did you guys have a good time, tribe? Did you guys? Good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I know you guys are still a little bit tired, but it's great to see that you're here this morning. Hey, our vision here at Shoreline is to revive hearts, restore hope. You know, when your heart is revived, you can restore hope in other people. Do you realize that? And revitalize culture and bring Jesus to the front and center of everyday life. I pray that our young people Friday night, Saturday early morning, we're revitalizing the culture with their community all night long. I hope that they were just having a great time. But you know, when your heart is revived and you restore hope in other people, your culture, your community will be revitalized. So that's what we're all about here at Shoreline. And you know, you can only do that when you are like, you know people, you're connected with other people. And so I want to say hello to our online community right now that are watching. You know, those of you who watch online, it's so good to have you with us this morning. Can you guys say hi? Give them a big cheer. They need to know that you're here and that we care. They're watching from all over the nation, other parts of the world. It's just fantastic to have you guys this morning. And if you are here for the first time, or if you're somebody who you think, you know, I need some prayer or just want to connect in some way, there's a connect card on the back seat pocket of all the chairs. And if you fill that out, our team is going to pray for you this week. We love to agree in prayer for you, so don't hesitate to fill that out today. Also, want to just kind of let you know, speaking of like friendship and loving people and connecting with them, Sisterhood United, we are having a Sisterhood United later on this month. And I cannot wait because we are going to be talking all about why it's important to be strong, kind, and united. I know that I'm getting to speak. There's a couple of other people. I can't wait to hang out with you guys. You know, there's a verse in Hebrews that talks about being creative, about getting together and encouraging each other and spurring each other on by gathering together. You don't want to miss it. This is the time to gather together. And the thing is even if you feel really encouraged and you feel like you don't need it, somebody else needs you. There's somebody out there that needs you and needs your friendship. So girls, I just want to encourage you to please be there later on this month. We're going to have a great time. If you have any questions at all, there's going to be somebody over here in our Sisterhood booth after the service, and they will connect with you and give you all the information that you need, okay? We are about to go into a great series. Is this the second week of this series? Sorry, it's the first week. I've been out of town. I just got here. So I've been out of town, but this is the first of this series today, and I know we're going to be talking about Summer of Love, and today I think we're going to cover a little bit about friendships and relationships. And you know, in order to have a great relationship, you really got to be friends first, right? You really have to have great friends. So I think Sophie's going to come and bring it and talk to us all about that before Eric comes up. Y'all enjoy the service.
Surprised, not everything lasts. I've broken my heart so many times I stopped keeping track. I talk myself in, I talk myself out. I get all worked up and I let myself down. I tried so very hard not to lose it. I came up with a million excuses. I thought of every possibility. But I know someday that it'll all turn out. You make me work so we can work to work it out. Yeah, I'll promise you, yeah, that I'll give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet. I might have to wait, I'll never give up. One half is timing, and the other half's luck. Wherever you are, whenever it's right, you'll come out of nowhere and into my life. And I know that we can be so amazing, 'cause baby, your love, it's gonna change me. And now I can see every possibility. But I know one day that it'll all turn out. You make me work so we can learn to work it out. And I'll promise you, kid, that I'll give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet. They say you're all's fair in love and war, but I don't need to fight it. We'll get it right and we'll be united. And I know that we can be so amazing. 'Cause baby, your love, it's gonna change me. And now I can see every possibility. And I know that it'll all turn out. We'll work to work it out. I promise you, kid, that I'll give so much more than I get. Then I get, then I get, then I get. And you know it'll all turn out. You make me work so we can work to work it out. And I promise you, kid, that I'll give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet. Ooh, I just haven't met you yet. I promise you, kid, I just haven't met you yet.
Okay, a couple things before we get into that song. First of all, Darlene didn't know this, but there is actually somebody at church at Crab Island today that is being baptized, and they watch online from Nebraska. That's their church. They're here on vacation, so they asked Pastor Matt, if I come down, would you take me out to Crab Island and baptize me? So that's what's going on. That's the impact that our online church has. Secondly, Sophie, today is where's Sophie? How old are you? 18. It was 5 years ago today. She did her first singing. That's what your parents told me, with Shoreline Church. She was 13. Today is her last service to sing because she goes off to college. And so you'll be coming and singing when you get back, right? Great job. So, my name is Eric. I'm one of the founding pastors along with my wife you met earlier. If you're watching online, just like to welcome you. If you're a guest here, we're glad that you're here today. And I love this song by Michael Bublé. Has anybody ever heard of it? Michael Bublé? I Just Haven't Met You Yet. It's part of the myth that is actually prevalent. It's in our culture. Yeah, permeates. Thank you. He went to college as well, but he went to Alabama. I don't know how he knew that. Anyway, was that you, Dustin? No, it wasn't you. Okay, sorry. And it's a myth that permeates our culture, and it's actually a myth that like most myths, once you kind of surface them and you look at them, you go, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? But this myth kind of undermines our thinking and our assumptions when it comes to relationships. Now, the problem with unexplored assumptions is that they inform your decisions, and the reason why that's dangerous is that you don't know they're informing your decisions, and so you continue to make bad decisions. And so this myth is that we're going to talk about a little bit today. It's actually going to be the kind of the foundation for our talks for the next 3 weeks in this series. But I call it the right person myth. And you've heard me talk about this before because it's crucial when it comes to relationships, especially if you're thinking about dating, getting married, or whatever. And the right person myth isn't that you don't meet the right person. It's this one right here. It's up on your screen. Once I meet the right person, everything is going to be all right. Once I meet the right person, everything's going to be fine. And it's such a myth on a couple of different levels. First of all, that if I meet the right person, I'm going to be fine, and it doesn't matter what I do between now and then. In other words, I can play around, I can sleep around, I can treat guys the way I want to, I can treat girls the way I want to, I can do whatever I want, and then when I meet the right person, everything's going to change. And then you thought you met the right person, and you're dating the right person, or you moved in with that right person, or you married that right person. But after a few years, you're coming to the conclusion that this isn't the right person. They must be the wrong person. And now what are you doing? You're looking for the next right person. See, that's kind of ridiculous when we think about it. The second part of this myth is, once I meet the right person, everything's going to be all right, including me. In fact, that song, he says, I know your love is going to change me. I don't have to work on me because all I've got to do is meet the right person. And when I meet the right person, I'm going to be all right. All those porn issues that I had in college, they're just going to go away. All those insecurities that I have, they're just going to go away. Those bad habits, those financial bad habits are just going to go away once I meet the right person. And that just isn't true. Because I wish life was compartmentalized like that, don't you? Don't you wish that all the things that were in Vegas stayed in Vegas? But they don't stay in Vegas, do they? They don't stay in Mexico, do they, Posies? It's going to come back to haunt you, right? They just came back from Mexico, and there's a country song by, what's his name? Toby Keith. Yeah, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. And it's not true. Life isn't compartmentalized like that. And so we're starting this series today called Summer of Love. And this series, this actual title is actually part of this misconception or this myth, okay? That this is the year. Oh my gosh, this is the summer. I can just feel it. I finally meet my true love. You know, summer loving had me a blast. Summer loving happened so fast. But oh, those summer nights, right? We have this myth that thinking that, you know, this is the summer. I know if I just meet the right person that everything's going to be okay. And this causes us to make stupid decisions. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing that breaks my heart, is watching people make relationship decisions that ruin their relationships, okay? Because aren't relationships, just raise your hand if you think relationships are complicated. Relationships are complicated enough as it is. And we make decisions that make them even more complicated. Now, before we get into it, let me real quick say who this is for, because some of you are thinking, well, I know what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 weeks. I'm not coming back here because I've already been married. I don't need this thing. Let me tell you who this is for. This is definitely for students, like our tribe students, who want a date and hope to have a date. And I can see 3 guys up there already that are wishing they will have a date one day. This is for those who've graduated, who hope to be dating one day. This series is going to be for married people who are trying to make their marriages better. This series is going to be for people who used to be married, and now you've been thrown back into this scary aquarium of dating. And I feel for you, because after being married for as long as I can imagine dating, especially with the online thing, it's scary. So, because think about this. Even before you get married, you got to work through the dating thing, right? But even before dating thing, there's a foundation that we're talking about today that is the foundation of all relationships, and that's friendships. So no matter where you are in life today, whether you're married, single, you're college, high school, doesn't matter, in your 50s, you've been married a couple times, there's going to be something for you in this series. There's going to be something that you can apply to your life. Now, so for some of you, you know that in 3 weeks, it will be our anniversary, and Darlene, it's not you, Donnie. Oh, there she is over there. Darlene and I will have been married for 36 years. Thank you. It's been tough, but I've been able to hang in there, okay? So, no. Those of you who know me, it's the other way around. But some of you know our story. We met in a restaurant on Okaloosa Island called the Sandflea. She was a busgirl, and I was a waiter/bartender. So she was 17, I was 21 when we met. And we'd heard of each other because I dated one of her friends, so we knew of each other. And I used to flirt with her all the time in the restaurant. In fact, I used to do the old, hey, why don't you give me a kiss on the cheek and then turn and get it on the lips? And you know what? She fell for it every freaking time. I mean, think about this. I tricked her into a kiss on the lips, and now she's married forever. What a sucker. How dumb. I don't want to say she's dumb, but man, guys, here's what you do. You need to keep this in your back pocket, guys, as a secret weapon. Don't do that to every woman. Just the woman you know you want to marry. That's all you got to do. That's what I did, and it worked, right? Okay. She says, yeah. I was going to college, and we had a waiter's lounge. So when you were waiting for a table, because we didn't work in there during the season. We worked in the off season, because during the season I always worked on the beach because I could make more money there. Anyway, so we had a waiter's lounge, and so I would go into the lounge while you're waiting for a table, and I would study. And she would come in, and we would flirt. I mean, we flirted all the time. And so one day, I used to also ride my bike everywhere. And they had a shower at the Sand Fleet, so you could take a shower. So you could go to the beach, then come to work at 4 o'clock, take a shower, get ready for work. So I carried my uniform in my backpack, and I also carried this really small iron so that I could iron my work shirt. And one day I was in there ironing, and she goes, "Here, let me do it." And I thought, "Lord, is this the one?" And so a couple weeks later, she goes, "Hey, just give me all your work shirts. I'll take them home and wash them and dry them." And I said, "Lord, this is the one. I think really is the one." But it's finally I asked her out, and she said yes. And that was this April, 38 years ago. And the great thing about our relationship, though, looking back from the very beginning, was the friendship. We loved a lot of the same things. I mean, we laughed. We had so much fun. We loved the beach and sailing and boating. We just did a lot together. We would spend hours just talking and laughing. We loved Saturday Night Live, and I would do Bill Murray or Mr. Bill. Remember Mr. Bill? Mr. Bill, no, Mr. Bill. And she would do Rosanna, Dana. You got a little sweat ball on your nose, okay? And we would just laugh and stuff. And so what was the thing about our relationship was the foundation that we built as friends, because 2.5 years later we were married. And so when I talk about relationships, it's important to understand that friendship is critical to all long-term relationships, whether it be a brother, a sister, husband, wife, dating, whatever it is. The skills and the muscles that you build in building friendships will lead you to having an amazing dating life and an amazing friendship. In fact, here's if you're taking notes, or if you want to download our app, you can get this on the app, okay? And here's the big idea of today's talk, that friendship is the soil where all relationships grow. And it's an art as much as it is a skill. Now, you've probably seen this before. You're at a restaurant, you're eating with whoever, and you look over at another table, and there's a couple sitting there, and there's no conversation. You've seen it, right? There's no connectivity. Maybe they're doing this, right? But this was around long before the nuisance that phones came. There's no connectivity. They're not talking. And I've always wondered when I see that, I go, how did this happen? What's going on here? How did they get to this point? Because nobody wants to be at this point. No one wants to admit, first of all, that their relationship may be there, okay? And no one wants their relationship to get there. And nobody, when they're dating or when they first get married, has hopes that I just hope in 30 years we have nothing to talk about. That nobody wants that. Now, I'd be lying if I'd said that that's never happened to us. It has. But what do you do about that? Because you might be here, maybe you're watching online, and you've been married for as long as we have. And that's happened to you. There's no conversation. There's no connectivity. Maybe you've been married for a fraction of that time, 7 years, 10 years, but you can feel it creeping in. And when you were dating, if someone said this to you, you'd go, "There's no way, Eric, that would ever happen to us because we're in love and we don't care who knows it," right? That's the way we think. In fact, maybe you're here or you're watching and you're not even thinking about marriage. You're 15 or 25 or 55. So being a couple sitting at a table not talking, that's the furthest thing from your mind. But if it's true that friendship is the soil where all relationships grow, then we need to know how to have healthy friendships. Because if you don't have healthy friendships, and starting when you're 15 or whatever it is, all your relationships are going to be off balance eventually, including your marriage relationship. So if friendships are the soil where healthy relationships grow, then let me ask you a question. How are your friendships? How are your friendships? Now, when I was a youth pastor, like Pastor Caroline, there was a saying that I used to say with young people, and if you're a parent of teenagers or young adults, you know this is true. And the saying was this: "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future." Some of you teenagers, you don't get that. You're like, "No, I'm not going to do that." Wait, when you have teenagers, you're going to understand this and go, "I remember when he said that." Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Now, let's just imagine for a moment that's true. If by looking at your friends, you get a roadmap of sorts of where your future's going, to prove it's true, if you're an adult here, just kind of look in the rearview mirror of your life And think about the friends that you had, the ones that made an impact on your life. Think about where are they now? Where did they go? What's the path they went down? You know, how did they impact your map? How did they impact the direction? Did they detour you for a while and you realized looking back in that rearview mirror that you had to kind of get back on track and maybe make a separation from that relationship? Think about your friends right now. You know, looking at your friends right now, what path are they going down? Do you like the direction? Do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? I just feel like singing today. I think I'm going to sing a lot of my points. Anyone remember that song, Diana Ross, like 1974? Look it up on the Google. I bet I'm right. Do you like the direction your life is going? Now, if there's some truth to this statement that I made that show me your friends and I'll show you your future, because Solomon, who wrote Proverbs, which Proverbs, if you're unfamiliar with the Bible, is a book in the Old Testament, and it's actually a bunch of wise sayings. That's why they call them Proverbs. That's what they're short little sayings that you can memorize. And there's 31 chapters in there, by the way. So if you're new to Bible reading, that's a great thing you could do in a month, is just read one chapter every day. Do that for a year, and I guarantee you'll be a wise person, and you'll know how to say permeate, okay? So you don't have to go to the University of Alabama to do that. But Proverbs is considered one of the people who wrote Proverbs were considered some of the wisest people to ever live. One of them is named Solomon. He was the son of David, which we've probably heard about. And here's what he said about friendship in Proverbs chapter 12. He says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." Now that he says the righteous choose their friends carefully, that word choose carefully actually means to spy out or to investigate. It means to do your due diligence, like in terms of an investment. If you were thinking about getting involved in an investment, whether it be a piece of property, a business, a startup, whatever, you wouldn't do it without doing your due diligence on whether that investment is going to have the potential to have a positive return on investment, right? Well, it's the same with friendship. Now, not that friendships are one-sided, that it should not be one-sided where it just has to do with me. But he says the alternative for not choosing your friends wisely is to be led astray. In other words, your future, like I said before, might have a detour. So he says we need to do due diligence. Again, at the same time, it's not all about what it does just for me, okay? Because any kind of relationship that is all one-sided like that is all withdrawals. In other words, you look at a relationship in terms of withdrawals and deposits. If all I'm doing is the relationship has what it does for me, I'm making withdrawals. Eventually, I'm going to bankrupt that relationship, okay? It never works. But according to Solomon, you can be an awesome person, but you lack the capacity and skills to have a long-term relationship. See, because friendship has little to do with likability. There is a skill set that comes. In fact, Solomon says something else about that. He says this, and if you want to be friends, he says, a man who has friends must himself be friendly. So if you want to have friends, you have to yourself be friendly. But then he says, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So he kind of outlines, and we know that's kind of prophetic, talking about Jesus as well, but the practical part is this. He says, if you want to be a friend, you just have to know, you want to be a friend, you want to have friends, know how to be a friend. But if you want to have a close relationship, like closer than a brother, now I didn't have any brothers, but I grew up with the best friend that had 3 brothers. And let me tell you, and some of you guys grew up with brothers, your brothers that were close. I mean, they had 3 brothers, and if you messed with one of them, you messed with all of them. Remember how that would work? You didn't just get in a fight with one because they were close. Solomon says that you want to have a relationship like that, a close relationship, you've got to learn to cultivate a closer than a brother relationship. And isn't that really what we are looking for in all of our intimate dating and even marriage relationships? Solomon says there's 2 types of friends. Anyone can have friends. All you've got to do, it's very simple. Be friendly. Well, I haven't met anybody yet. Yeah, because you have that something rest face on when you walk in. All right? I don't know what they call that. Right? You just have to be friendly. He says, but there's a way to have a close friend. And that's what I want to give you today. Because this will help you whether you're up there at Tribe and you are navigating friendships, which is a difficult part to navigate when you're in middle school and high school, isn't it? Whether you're dating or trying to date or whether you're married, if we can learn and use these things, we can have great friendships, which would be the foundation of marriage or dating or any intimate relationship. So let me give you 3 elements. Again, you can take notes on these. They're simple. Or you can go to our app and download these. I mean, you can watch and follow along. There's a way for you to follow along on it. The first one is this, and this is how you have a closer than a brother relationship. And that is, hold on, I'm getting a text from one of my consultants. Might tell me something better to say. They text me and go, Eric, don't say that. Oh, it's RBF, resting bassist face. The guy who plays bass, doesn't he look like he's, resting bassist face? Thanks, Donnie. He's like, don't call me out. Don't text me then. No. All right, so where was I at? What? Oh, the 3 points. Yeah, here's the first one. And the first one is going to be scary to men. Okay? It's going to be scary, and there's a reason why. I'm going to explain that. But the first one is vulnerability. You're like, I'm ready to leave now, honey. Let's go. Vulnerability is a very confusing topic because people confuse vulnerability with disclosure, okay? See, disclosure is the act of sharing information. Vulnerability is the act of opening up your life to someone in real time. See, disclosure is about sharing what's going on in your life. And social media has really screwed us up with that one because for a bunch of people, disclosure is just sharing a bunch of information. And when you're friends with them or you follow them, you might know where they went to college, you might know where they went on vacation, like Cabo or whatever, but there's no real relationship or vulnerability. Vulnerability is tough. And here's why most men kind of back away from it. Well, there's a couple reasons, but one of it's because when you open yourself up for vulnerability, you open yourself up to get hurt. When I open myself up to vulnerability, when I open myself up for you to see the true me, I open myself up to have pain. I mean, Jesus was vulnerable, and one of his best friends betrayed him. And the others abandoned him. So when you're being vulnerable, though, you're being like Jesus. And the way to be vulnerable is we have to be open and honest. And that's why this vulnerability, though, is reserved for only those closer than a relationship. Oh, closer than a brother relationship, okay? That's why you have to be cautious. You know, you kind of have levels of friends. You have to be selective. That's why he said to spy out, to spy out, because you have to be careful who you let in there, but it's important that you have that in there. So every friend you have can't be in this area. But here's what this means. Marriage relationships that are built on vulnerability, look at this, result in intimacy and freedom that other relationships will not have. Let me say this again. Marriage relationships that are built on vulnerability result in intimacy. What is intimacy? Into me, you see. In other words, there's nothing hidden there. There's nothing that you don't see. There's no secrets, okay? When I'm vulnerable, when I have a relationship that's built on vulnerability, there's intimacy and there's freedom. You know why there's freedom? Because I don't have to remember what I've lied to you about. I don't have to keep juggling. I don't have to figure out what it is that you don't know and make sure I don't open. See, when there's intimacy, when you know everything, when there's vulnerability, not only will there be intimacy, but there'll be freedom because I can just be me. The flip side of that is also true. You ever meet someone at a party and they're just like, you meet it for the very first time and they just start disclosing all this information to you and you're like, I don't even know you. What? Bartender, I don't care, right? TMI, you should talk to someone who mainly knows you, right? Here's the kicker, and this is why we do this. Those who are afraid of vulnerability hide it in the form of moving to disclosure, because it's easier to just throw a bunch of information out there to the masses than it is to actually open yourself up to someone in an intimate setting. I see this a lot of times when dealing with men. Well, what's your biggest fault? Well, I think my biggest fault is I just love too much, or I'm just too forgiving. Because here's what happens. Here's how we use disclosure. We have here's what you know about me. Here's maybe what you don't know, but I'll let you share. But here's what's really that nobody knows about me. So what I'll do is I'll give you this level so that you feel like you got some transparency, but nobody's getting this level, That's what disclosure is. But real intimacy, real vulnerability happens when I'm in a relationship where they know me and I know them. It's knowing and being known. Again, most of us don't really want to be known because it's scary. Because here's the truth. If you really know who I am, you won't like me. If you really knew who about me, you wouldn't like me anymore. But the problem is, if you want to have an intimate relationship, if there's something, if they found out they don't like you anymore, that's probably not as intimate as you think it is. Now, Solomon talked about another element that's crucial for a closer than brother relationship, and that's this. Proverbs chapter 17, he says, a friend, remember we got a there's a difference here. A friend loves at all times, and a brother, here we go, is born for adversity. So there's some truth to this list. True friends love you no matter what's going on in your life. That's true. But, he says, that closer than a brother relationship is there when things get tough. And that's the second element that I believe is crucial for intimate relationships, and that is loyalty. Loyalty is so underutilized in our culture. Loyalty is the decision that you make when I make that I'm not just looking out for me, but I'm looking out for you. When the friendships get hard and things get difficult in your lives, because of loyalty, you don't bail or you don't run. Loyalty always causes you to move towards that other person. If you're not just, because he says, listen, a friend loves at all times. Hey, we love you, but we just can't be around you right now. We love you and forgive you, but, we're just neat. But a true friend, he says, a closer than a brother friend, when that person is going through hell or high water, they're there, the light bulb goes off for them and they go, look, this is why I'm supposed to be, this is where I get to experience my friendship moment. This is where I get to put my closer than a brother hat on and run towards them, because friends are sifted in a crisis. And so to develop long-term, meaningful relationships, you have to get to a point where loyalty is second nature for you. Now, I want to read you an example. And it's in this book called Job, okay? Has anybody ever read Job? It's actually in the Bible. It's in the middle. And it's kind of like, Job is this weird, it's like a play, okay? It's like a 3-act play, and the first act is only 1 chapter long, and the third act is only 1 chapter long, and the whole middle of the play is like 41 chapters long. And you're just, by the time you read Job, there's a phrase that his wife uses in there, and you're like, yeah, I think you should do that. It's kind of this and it's in the middle of the chapter, because when you read it, if you aren't familiar with the Bible, you're thinking, is this real? Because in the beginning, the very first chapter, it says that in the heavenly realms, God's just hanging out, and Lucifer, the devil, shows up, and God goes, hey, what you been doing? He goes, I've just been walking around the earth, checking things out. And God goes, hey, and he goes, have you considered my servant Job? He goes, yeah, I saw him. I bet you couldn't make him curse me. And he goes, I bet you I could. He goes, how much you want to bet? And just like something out of Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, the Duke brothers bet $1 that I can ruin this guy's life to make him curse you. So there's 41 chapters of, this guy loses, he has all these calamities happen to Job. He loses his livestock, his house burns down, all his kids die, his pets' heads are falling off. In fact, he is so afflicted, finally Satan afflicts, and it's all to get him to curse God. Satan afflicts him with these boils, and they hurt so much he's scratching himself with pottery shards, okay? And his wife finally looks over it and says, what I'm thinking when I'm about halfway through this book, why don't you just curse God and die? I said that to someone driving down 98 the other day, which is actually a great thing. Because I rolled down my window, and they rolled down theirs, thinking, we're about to get into it. And I said, curse God and die. And they went, okay. They didn't know what to do with that. So you can put that in your back pocket, kissing someone on the thing on the cheek, and curse God and die. So finally, Job's friends hear about this, and here's what they do. When Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz, the Temanite, Bildad, the Shuhite, and Zophar, the Naamathite, he was a quarterback for the Jets a long time ago, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him. And so they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. And no one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. Wow, that is some good friends. What you see in this story of Job, when a lot of friends would make themselves scarce, Job's closer than brother friends moved toward him. And this is a great picture of not just friendship, but closer than a brother friendship. They understood why they were, at that moment, were in his life. I mean, it reminds me of a firefighter. I mean, think about firefighters. I mean, they're heroes. Why? And I know we have one in here right over there. What do? When everybody's running out of a building. See, I always thought I wanted to be a firefighter, but then I realized you have to go into burning buildings. Then I realized I just like spraying stuff with water, okay? Firefighters, when everybody's running out, they're running in. And how many times do we see a friend that has a problem and people avoid them? Well, they're depressed right now. It's depressing to be around them. All they do, they're just going, what do true friends? Run towards that. See, that's what a true friendship looks like. It doesn't matter if it's in the context of a single relationship. Come on, listen to me now. Dating, well, she's mental. I'm out of here. I can't handle it. My wife is going, my husband. Do you move toward that person when things get hard, or do you run away? Or even worse, do you throw fuel on the fire by saying things like, I told you so, I knew this was going to happen. You always do things like this. You always screw it up. And listen, we've all said things like that. And I know what you're thinking. You might be thinking online too, but Eric, what if your friend always gets into trouble? Do you bail them out every time? Yeah. You know, because I was raised that way. I'm going to date myself, but I was raised with what we called a bro code. Anybody remember that? A bro code was you didn't abandon your friends. You didn't desert them. I got in fights. We would throw blows and have a fight, but we were still friends because we were like, remember what a closer than a brother? Remember my friends? There were 3 brothers that you fought with them. You got them all, but they also fought each other, but that didn't separate them from being best friends. You know, I grew up with that bro code. You know, in fact, I remember one of my friends. There was 3 of us. He had an injury and he had to go to the hospital, an emergency room. He had to have surgery. They had to shave his head. Had this big old scar. He came back from the hospital. It was me and my other best friend. We had like 3 best friends. He didn't want to go out because he had a shaved head and big old scar, and so we shaved our heads, all of us, and then we all put a bandage on our head, and we went out that night. There was 3 guys with the same bandage and a shaved head. I was one of those guys. See, that's what this kind of friends, that's why it's important for you. You have to be cautious on who you get to this level with, but it's so important that you do that. True friends say, hell or high water, man, I'm in your corner. I've got your back. Now, I do need to say something before I move to this next point, because this is important. If you want to live a life of loyalty, you also have to learn to live a life of forgiveness. Because let me tell you, loyalty and unforgiveness are complete opposite. You can't have both. You can't be a person who doesn't forgive and be a person who's loyal. It doesn't work. And so if you want to have those friendships in your life, you have to learn how to forgive at lightning speed, even before they've realized there's something that they need to be forgiven for. Because look what else Solomon says about a closer than brother relationship. He says, a man's wisdom gives him patience, but it's to his glory to overlook an offense. If you want to have a long-term, meaningful relationships, you've got to run towards forgiveness. You have to learn to forgive for things that they never even apologize for. Because listen, there is too many offenses in life for you to keep track of them. And here, can I just say something about offenses and forgiveness? They're both a choice. Here's what happens, and I wish our culture needs to learn this, because that offends me. Here's the thing about offenses. Here's an offense. You throw an offense out, you have a choice. You can take that offense and go, I'm offended, and now you're dealing with that. Or you can take that and say, I choose to forgive. That's it. That's the only 2 choices you have with an offense. And you have to choose to forgive, and you have to choose to overlook an offense. And you actually choose to be offended. So that's the 2 choices that you have. Because listen, everybody you love is going to eventually let you down. And you're going to let everybody you love, you're going to let the person that you're married to, that friend, that's just the way life works. You're eventually going to, at some point in your life, you will let people down and they will let you down. That's just the way it works. You're going to let your spouse down, your dating partner, your best friend, and they're going to let you down. That's just how life works. And as a matter of fact, if Shoreline Church is your church, we're going to let you down. We're going to forget your birthday. I'm going to forget to say thank you. We're not going to know that somebody died. In fact, right now, the person next to you is going to let you down one day. So why don't you just look at him right now? and go, I know you let me down, but don't worry about it. I forgive you now. Go ahead. Thank you. That right there is worth the service because now you got that off your chest, okay? Look, the staff is going to let you down, but guess what? You know what? You're going to let Shoreline Church down. You're going to be scheduled to show up one day, and someone's going, oh, you sure you don't want to go fishing? It's snapper season's over. We can go one more day. Okay, and you don't show up. But guess what? We forgive you already. Because why? That's what friends do. The person you're dating is going to let you down. The person that you're married to is going to let you down. That's the way life is. And relationships are hard work. And again, you never feel like forgiving if you wait till you feel. You don't wake up one day and go, gosh, it's so beautiful. Who do I need to forgive today? It is a choice. And some friendships, most friendships, all friendships are worth it. In fact, some of you right now, you have close friends that hung in there with you through some hard times. Maybe you need to call them this week. This would help make a deposit in that relationship and say, hey, remember those times I messed up? Remember those times? Thank you for forgiving me. Okay? And don't call them and go and expect them, hey, I just want to say thank you for forgiving me. Do you have anything to say to me? Don't do it that way, okay? So if we want to experience this friendship that we're talking about, then it takes vulnerability and it takes loyalty, but you have to be able to do the third thing, which is trust. And here's what Proverbs 11 says. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. So if we're going to get to that point where we are loyal to people, so much so that there's some vulnerability, they have to be able to trust us with that vulnerability. So if you're single and you're dating, the trustworthiness that you show in your relationships will absolutely affect the trustworthiness and the vulnerability in your marriage. If you've ever been in a serious relationship and then you dated for a long time and then you broke up or whatever, you stopped going out, what you do with that intimate information that you obtained during that relationship will actually determine how trustworthy of a person you are. And what I mean by that, if you ever dated someone and they started talking about their ex and all the intimate information, what did they do? They weren't trustworthy with that information. That's actually probably an indicator of what they're going to do with your intimate information. So I got to wrap this up. We got 3 things, okay? Remember? Vulnerability, trustworthiness, and loyalty. Let me give you some application for this week. You're going to have some homework for this week. Are you ready? So and it doesn't matter whether you're married, single, dating, whatever it is, here's what you can focus on this week. If you're married, especially if you're that couple that's at the table and you're not talking, date your spouse. I say this all the time. If you don't date your spouse, somebody else will. Think about all of the think about the things that you did. Listen, here's what happens to me. I'm not preaching to you, okay? This week, I'm taking this material and I'm thinking about what used to happen at Sandflea and what I did with Darlene. Darlene has been out of town all week. She's coming home. Well, I say home, we live in an RV in the parking lot. And I'm thinking, if I was coming home to this and I just stayed in a vacation house in South Florida, I'd be depressed. So I said, I'm going to get her a gift. So girls, can I just say something? Pinterest has been the best thing for guys. Keep your Pinterest up to date because what I can do is get on, because I don't know how to pick her earrings. I don't know how to pick her shoes styles. If I do it on my own, she goes, thanks for the purse, But when I go on Pinterest and I go, oh, this is what she's she's pinning, I go and she'll go, oh, how did you know I love these? So girls, keep your Pinterest up. Guys, get on her Pinterest, dummy, all right? You don't have to do Pinterest yourself, but it's like a pre-made shopping list for you that she doesn't know that you know about. So I got on Pinterest, and the help of my assistant, got her a nice gift when she came home. And now, I probably wouldn't have done that this week if I hadn't been looking at this. Because I'm not there. Yeah, 36 years. But we can easily be at that restaurant not talking. So here's my encouragement to you. What did you used to do when you were dating your wife? What did you used to do when you were dating your husband? Do it again. Just keep doing it. Keep dating your spouse. Now, if you've got a dating relationship, here's your homework. Don't focus on the fireworks and how far can we go because we're not married yet and we're Christians. Don't focus on that. You know what you focus on? Friendships. Okay? Focus on the soil of a good friendship. Do what friends would do. The loyalty, the trustworthiness, the vulnerability. Now, if you're not dating and you're not married, maybe you're a teenager or whatever, then what do? You focus on your friendships. Take these 3 things right here and say, where can I be more loyal? How can I show myself to be more friendly? How can I make sure that I'm trustworthy when they start gossiping about somebody I know, not jumping in? All of those things. Be loyal to a fault. And soap, and if you read your soap, this week we read Psalms 15 on Tuesday at our men's group. I have a men's soap group where we read the chapter of the soap on Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock at Local Market. And the Psalm 15 says, keep your promises even when it hurts you. Think about that. That's what friends do. Now, here's why we do this, and I'm going to close. Your single relationships and your dating relationships are never just isolated to those people. In other words, your friendships right now in high school, college, young adult, they're never just how you treat your friends. They're not isolated to that. They will absolutely affect your marriage relationship. The skills and the muscles that you create during a friendship and when you're single and when you're dating will follow you into your marriage relationship because that is who you are. So to have a good relationship, to have a good friendship, you got to start with vulnerability. And then as you become vulnerable with one another, you begin to move towards loyalty to that person. And then they know that they can trust you with the confidentiality of that relationship. Because friendship is the soil where all relationships grow. And listen, good relationships are going to cost you. They take work. Marriage takes work. Friendships take work, but they're worth it. Imagine nurturing all of these 3 ingredients, all of your friendships, dating relationships, the relationship with your spouse. They'll be life-giving. And isn't that what we want? That's what we want. We want to be that friend that sticks closer than a brother. Would you bow your heads? We're going to pray. Because I really believe, and listen, let me encourage you. Don't check out during this series. Because just like me, there's something, I've been married 36 years, and look what it did for my relationship already. Now my wife knows why I did that, though. But you know what? I'm working. Because relationships are like that. They're always moving, they're organic. And so what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it and what they're going to get out of it. So Father, we just want to kind of submit ourselves to this talk. Lord, I pray these things would stay etched in our brains, vulnerability, trustworthiness, loyalty, so that we would continue to move in that direction. Because all of these things, a friend that sticks closer than the brother, showing ourselves friendly, all of those things, God, it's what we all desire. So, Lord, I thank you for your word that does not come back void. It produces whereto you've sent it. You've sent it to us. We've received it in our heart. And God, I pray for this series that as you build great relationships within us and our relationship with you, and we build great families and marriages, it makes for such a strong community. Father, we love you and thank you so much that your word is alive and it's powerful and it ever shapes who we are. And that this journey, we're continuing to want to be like you. We love you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Speaking of a great partner and person.
You are hilarious.
Aren't you wearing the earrings I got you?
I am.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you did a good job.
What do y'all think, ladies? Look at these earrings.
Aren't they cute?
I would have never been able to pick them out if it wasn't for Pinterest.
Here's what's so funny. Actually, it was so cool to hear that because that was why you gave that to me. Because it is true, it could be depressing. But by the way, we do close on our house in about 3 more weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes!
2 weeks.
Thank you, God.
Hey, can I tell you something?
I'm about done.
When I was trying to go shopping and get you this, Matt, who's one of my best friends, what'd you do? Like,
You're in trouble.
Like he thinks I'm in trouble. That's why I'm shopping for my wife.
Yeah.
That's why their relationship is not as good as ours.
That's, haha. So not true, by the way. They actually have a great relationship. And you know what? That's what friendship does. They spur us on. We spur them on. And, so like having great friendships with other couples is, man, it's encouraging. It's funny because
I had more bathing suits than anybody on the planet when we were younger because he bought me new bathing suits all the time because we were working on the beach together, and that was the gift. I always got new bathing suits, didn't I? Yeah, I love it. So it's great to remember those kinds of things, like what he used to do for me. I'm gonna start thinking about that too, babe. Such a yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Okay. So, as a lot of you guys know, we are in our summer season here at Shoreline, and we've really kind of tagged this or given it this tagline, hope is who we are, because we really want to continue to bring hope into our city, the hope of Jesus Christ. When he's done something in our lives, man, it should come out of us and reflect into the people that we get to influence. And I just want to say, this is I think the 4th week that we've been in our legacy, and I think the last time we're probably going to bring it up, but I want to let you know that we've been making such an incredible difference in people's lives. Pastor Matt, who is our community pastor, has actually been building relationships with people in our community, especially among the service industry here around the harbor, for a few years. But this year, he's really had an opportunity to focus on it. And because we have supported that with some great ideas, like this summer we're doing Grub Club. You guys heard about that when we talked about our legacy giving. Grub Club, where we're bringing meals once a week to people in the service industry around the harbor. They are freaking out at how generous you guys are. They're like, seriously, just blown away. Yes, give yourselves a hand. Thank you so much. I just want to give you a couple of stories real quickly. Captain Pam, who has a sailboat charter, and she also is a shoreliner, she says that the Grub Club thing has actually given her an opportunity to talk to her young mate who works for her about what God has done in her life and how he has protected her. And she's had a couple of mishaps with her sailboat over the last couple of years, like I think 2 really big ones. And she was able to really tell him about how God has been with her and how he's restored all of that for her just because of Grub Club, because she was able to talk about where this comes from and what the love of God does and how it inspires us to give and be generous. And then there's also, I think it's really cool because I feel like we're hitting some influencers. I think it was one of the managers at the Emerald Grand who used to be a pastor, but now he's managing. He says this has given him an opportunity to talk more freely about the love of God with some of his employees because we've been bringing lunch to them. So how cool is that? It's amazing. Also, out at Crab Island, it's interesting the demographic of people that we get to impact out there at Crab Island. So, we have a crew of people that are out there right now, having church, hanging out. And, first of all, you're going to hit the vacationers. We had a vacationer, I think it was last week, who came up and said, you know what, we literally planned our vacation to be able to be here on a Sunday because we heard about it last year and we didn't get to come. So this year we came and made sure our vacation was on a Sunday because we wanted to experience church out on the water. Isn't that amazing? And then there was another family who isn't a church-going family, but they saw us last year and decided, you know what? We're going to go every Sunday and do church at Shoreline out at Crab Island. And they're not even church-going. How cool is that? God's going to do such great things in their life this summer, and you guys get to be a part of it. And then lastly, I would just say, especially because I have a child that is out there as one of the vendors are coming up every week and having a chat with our team just to say what's going on in their life because they know we care. And so you guys are making such a big influence. I just want to say thank you so much to those of you who have given already to Legacy. You can see these envelopes. They're in the back seat pockets on your chairs. This is a special type of offering that we do a couple times a year so that we can continue to bring hope in our city. So I want to say, because of your giving, you know what has happened? You've given us more influence. You've given us more influence. We can all make a difference in our neighbors and the people that we work with, but when we do something together corporately, people notice. And they're noticing. And when they begin to notice, they are so open to hear. They're so open to hear what else God can do in their life. And so you guys are bringing hope to people in a great way. And I just want to say thank you because a lot of you, besides your legacy giving, you give consistently. You might give 10%. Like I know Eric and I, we've been giving 10% of our income for years and years and years and years because we believe in the local church. And so I want to say thank you to those of you who've been doing that. Thank you to those of you who gave above your regular giving into the legacy offering. And you're already making a difference. We are 73% of our goals are funded because of you. Thank you so much. It's amazing. But Eric and I, some of you might be like Eric and I, and right now we couldn't give a big bigger sum than our regular giving because we're in the process of closing on a house. So what we decided to do was give what we could weekly. And you can continue to do that. We're just giving a smaller amount every single week above our tithes so that we can be a part of this legacy this year. So I want to encourage you if you want to continue to do that, because again, we're probably not going to bring it up again about the legacy giving, but if you haven't had an opportunity and maybe you're in a situation like that, give $5 more, just give whatever you can, a little bit above what your normal giving is, and it's still going to make a difference, and we're going to hit those goals for the summer. And then, what was I going to tell you guys? Oh yeah, we're about to take the offering. And so when the offering passes in just a minute, I want you guys to remember that we believe in irrational generosity. And we say this every single week, and it's true, that if you are an adult who is in significant need of food, shelter, or clothing, then when the buckets pass you, if there's loose cash in that bucket, you can take it to meet your need because we know that it's God's anyway. And this is just a generous church. And again, I just want to say thank you, Shoreline, for being as generous as you are. You are making an impact in our city. Thank you so much. So why don't you guys go ahead, the host team, and you guys can receive the offering. And then Eric, can you hand me that? I want to say one more thing about the impact that we're making. So I want to talk to some business owners out there. Remember I said we have 73% of our goals are met. Everything that we wanted to do, and there's a whole list of things, like we had creating irresistible environments. There were things here for kids, things around our environment here at the church so that we can make a greater impact. All of those things are funded. Grub Club, funded. It's all funded. Crab Island, we have a little bit more to go, and we have a whole summer to go, about 10 more weeks that we need to see funded. And so what I want to do is I just wanted to talk to some business owners out there. Because if you have a business and you sponsor $1,000, it will cover our 1 week expenses at Crab Island. And we're going to give you this beautiful basket if you do. It is a boat basket. It's got a towel in it, some great swag from Shoreline. So you're going to get that as a gift. And somebody's out there, they're willing to talk to you. They're out there by these baskets. You'll see them out in the lobby. But what I want you to know is that I know so many of you that have businesses here, you look at making an impact by just what you do. You might be a real estate agent, and you make impact in somebody's life by helping them find a house after 10 tries of asking, right? You're making a difference. You're influencing. How about think about influencing on Sundays with Church at Crab Island and being a part of that? Because what will happen is we'll be able to put up your business on the screen. You know, that big, huge screen. People are going to see that. For one, they're going to know all about you. But the other thing is you're going to get to be a part of those stories that we get to tell every week and that we will tell every week here through the summer. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Next week is Father's Day. Mother's Day is one of the busiest times of church because that's what moms, they want for Mother's Day. I want to go to church and then wait 2 hours for lunch at a restaurant. But Father's Day, they go, I want to be left alone. I want to play golf. So what we're doing, can y'all hear me? We're giving away 3 of these. They're called Turtle Boxes. They are the most amazing Bluetooth box you can find. They're waterproof. The battery lasts a week. They're loud, super loud. I use one on my boat. They're about a $400 value.
I literally can hear you like on the other side of the harbor. When I'm on the church boat and you're on your boat, I'm like, here he comes.
And I'm playing some Morgan Wallen, all right? Because I just want to do country. Anyway, we're giving away one of these at every service, including Crab Island next week, to a lucky dad. So if you want to win a turtle box, got to bring your dad, or if you're a dad, be here on Sunday. We're going to give away one each. Instead of giving some little cheap thing to every dad, one dad or 3 dads get something awesome. So make sure you're here.
Love it.
God bless you guys. See you next week for Father's Day.
See you later.